Rinnegan. The Rinnegan, the pair of purple eyes with mysterious concentric circles, is not only a dojutsu but also a symbol of divinity and destruction. These eyes embody supreme power capable of governing life and death, bending space and time, and controlling all forms of chakra. The first person to awaken the Rinnegan was Hagoromo, the Sage of Six Paths, son of Kaguya Otsutsuki. Born with the chakra of the Otsutsuki clan, Hagoromo naturally awakened the Rinnegan after delivering a critical blow to his brother Homura, triggering the eyes through an emotional shock, very similar to how a member of the Uchiha clan awakens the Sharingan or the Momoshiki Sharingan. With the Rinnegan, Hagoromo could perceive the chakra flow of all living beings, sense chakra systems with absolute precision, and instantly master all 5 nature transformations. He was also the one who sealed the 10 tails inside his body, becoming the first Jinchuriki. What makes the Rinnegan even more terrifying is its ability to wield the 6 paths techniques. The Deva path grants control over gravity, allowing the user to repel or attract objects and people. Pain once used it to level the entire Hidden Leaf village in seconds with Shinra Tensei and to create a massive artificial moon with Chibaku Tensei. The Asura path enables the user to modify their body into a lethal weapon, turning them into a living war machine, as seen when the Asura path nearly killed Kakashi with a missile during the Konoha invasion. The human path allows the extraction of thoughts and souls, most notably demonstrated when Pain ripped Shizune's mind out. The animal path grants the power of summoning multiple gigantic creatures, such as a rhino panda, multi-headed dog, and giant chameleon, each extremely powerful in battle. The Preta path possesses the ability to absorb chakra, nullifying any ninjutsu by devouring its energy completely. The Naraka path allows the summoning of the King of Hell, a divine being that can both restore damaged bodies and interrogate enemies. And finally, the Outer path, the most powerful of the 6 paths, grants the ability to revive the dead and create black chakra rods to connect and control others. Through this chakra network, the bodies can share a unified field of vision, just like how Pain linked the 6 paths or how Obito controlled the Jinchuriki. In addition, the Outer path can summon the demonic statue of the Outer path and even control the 10 tails. Throughout history, very few have reached this level. Madara Uchiha was the first to successfully recreate the Rinnegan. After losing an eye from using Izanagi during his battle with Hashirama, he obtained Senju cells and implanted them into his body. This fusion eventually awakened the Rinnegan in both eyes, though the process took decades, and Madara only truly awakened them near the end of his life. Before dying, Madara transplanted his Rinnegan into Nagato, believing that the Uzumaki bloodline could sustain and wield such a dojutsu. Even in his Edo Tensei state, Madara wielded the Rinnegan with astonishing mastery, from absorbing ninjutsu to nullify Naruto's Rasen Shuriken to summoning 2 massive meteors from the atmosphere, annihilating hundreds of allied shinobi in an instant. Once fully revived through Rinne Tensei, Madara regained his Rinnegan and became the Jinchuriki of the Ten Tails. With this power, he unleashed Limbo, creating invisible clones that exist in a parallel dimension, detectable only by those with 6 paths power. Madara later used Chibaku Tensei on a godly scale, summoning countless meteors simultaneously, crushing the entire battlefield under overwhelming gravitational force. However, the Rinnegan is not a power that just anyone can obtain. To awaken it, one must possess the chakra of the Sage of 6 Paths, or the combined chakra of Indra and Asura. Without this, even geniuses like Itachi or Obito could never attain it. In the Boruto era, some entities born from the Ten Tails also possess the Rinnegan. Among them, Jura stands out using his Rinnegan to fire Tailed Beast Ball directly from his eyes, proving that the power of these divine eyes continues to evolve. Tomoe Rinnegan. Sasuke awakened the Rinnegan in his left eye after receiving a portion of chakra from Hagoromo Otsutsuki. In a near-death moment during the 4th Great Ninja War, his soul encountered Hagoromo, and at that destined moment, the Sage of 6 Paths granted Sasuke a part of his power, awakening a unique form of Rinnegan never seen before, a Rinnegan with 6 black tomo. Unlike ordinary Rinnegan, Sasuke's Rinnegan appeared only in his left eye. It retained the characteristic purple color but was surrounded by 6 tomo, representing the fusion of the Mangekyo Sharingan's power within it. Sasuke's unique structure allowed him to use the full abilities of his Mangekyo Sharingan within the Rinnegan, such as casting Amaterasu, evolving Susanoo to a divine state, and reaching its ultimate form, Indra's Susanoo. No other Rinnegan wielder has ever combined these 2 powers, making Sasuke truly unique in shinobi history. Sasuke's most prominent ability was Amano Tajikara, a space-time ninjutsu that allowed him to instantly swap positions with any object or living being within his field of vision. With just a thought, Sasuke could exchange places with an enemy, a weapon, or even a fragment midair, making his attacks impossible to predict. In battle, he once used this ability to switch places with a sword, causing the blade to pierce through Madara without his awareness. Even high-speed warriors like Kinshiki and Momoshiki could not react to this absolute spatial swap. Amano Tejikara not only gave Sasuke an offensive edge but also served as a survival tool, allowing him to evade lethal strikes or escape traps in an instant. In addition, Sasuke's Rinnegan allowed him to open dimensional portals that connected different realms. Through this ability, he traveled across Kaguya's dimensions, tracked the movements of the Otsutsuki clan, and rescued Naruto from a sealing prison. However, the technique consumed an enormous amount of chakra, limited the number of people that could pass through at once, and forced Sasuke to use it sparingly with careful calculation. Even so, this power granted him a level of mobility far beyond any other shinobi. Sasuke's Rinnegan could also access the classical Six Paths abilities, such as manipulating gravity through the Deva path absorbing chakra with the Preta path, sensing natural energy at the Six Paths level, and even casting Limbo, creating invisible clones that exist in a parallel dimension. However, instead of focusing on summoning or body modification, Sasuke's fighting style emphasized tactical use of movement, reflexes, and multi-dimensional battlefield awareness. This made his attacks unpredictable while rendering himself nearly untouchable in solo combat. Still, Sasuke's Rinnegan was not without weaknesses. First, he could not deactivate it since it was an eye granted to him rather than one he was born with. Only the original owner can freely activate or downgrade their Dojutsu. Just as Kakashi could not deactivate Obito's Sharingan, or Obito and Nagato could not deactivate Madara's Rinnegan, Sasuke was subject to the same limitation. When Madara regained his eyes, he could freely switch between Mangekyo Sharingan and Rinnegan, or even downgrade them to cast Genjutsu on the Raikage. Sasuke, on the other hand, could not. Whether resting or exhausted, his left eye always remained as an active Rinnegan, only closable but never deactivated. The second weakness was its immense chakra consumption. Overuse caused the Tomoe to fade and disappear, temporarily reducing his vision and limiting several abilities. Later, Sasuke gained better control over his energy, but still had to be cautious as overusing Amano Tejikara could quickly exhaust him. He has now lost his Rinnegan, and it remains uncertain whether he can regain it in the future. The Red Rinnegan is a new and dangerous Dojutsu variant that appears in Boruto, possessed by two members of the Otsutsuki clan, Urashiki and Momoshiki. Although both use the Red Rinnegan, each exploits it in completely different ways. Urashiki's Rinnegan does not stay fixed in one form but changes depending on the technique he uses. In battle, his eyes can shift from purple to blue to red. Each color represents a different ability, which makes his attacks and movements impossible to predict. With the Tomo Red Rinnegan, he can open rifts in space-time and teleport instantly between locations or even across dimensions. This allows him to move so freely that he is almost impossible to hit. He can evade in an instant and counterattack from blind spots his opponents cannot guard. His manipulation of space resembles Kaguya Otsutsuki with the Rinne Sharingan but is far more agile and chaotic. Momoshiki, on the other hand, two Red Rinnegan without Tomoe located in the palms of his hands. These eyes are treated as weapons of mass destruction. With the right-hand Rinnegan, Momoshiki can absorb all ninjutsu and chakra from his opponents no matter how powerful, from giant Rasengan to the strongest elemental techniques. Everything vanishes the instant it touches his hand. With the left-hand Rinnegan, he can release that same technique back but multiplied in power. It is not a simple counter but absolute amplification. During the Chunin exams, Momoshiki displayed this ability on a terrifying scale. He absorbed ninjutsu from dozens of shinobi at once, gathered it into a single attack, and fired it at Naruto, creating a massive chakra explosion that engulfed the battlefield. There was no delay, no cooldown, only absorption, amplification, and destruction. Because of this power, Momoshiki did not need to create ninjutsu of his own. He only needed to steal them and return them at a level far beyond their original strength. In addition, Momoshiki possessed a special ability known as chakra fruit creation. This allowed him to transform his targets into chakra fruits containing their life energy, then consume them to gain an instant boost in power. While Momoshiki used the Red Rinnegan to absorb and magnify the strength of others, Urashiki used it to manipulate space and control the flow of battle. Both proved that the Red Rinnegan is not just an aesthetic variation but a symbol of powers that surpass all limits of space, time, and human strength. The Blue Rinnegan. Just as he could transform his Byakugan into the Red Rinnegan, Urashiki could also shift it at will into the Blue Rinnegan. Its form is similar to the basic Rinnegan, the only difference being that it is blue in color and has no Tomo. In terms of power, the Blue Rinnegan grants Urashiki an extremely dangerous ability. He can bend time for a few seconds, allowing him to fast forward or rewind a short span of reality. With this, Urashiki can see a few seconds into the future, not through instinct or reflex, but as the actual vision of what is about to happen. This combination of foresight and time manipulation makes the Blue Rinnegan one of the most powerful variants ever shown. Urashiki used this ability to overwhelm Sasuke, Jiraiya, and Naruto, forcing them into constant trouble during battle. However, he could not maintain the power for long, since every time he rewound, he still had to relive the entire moment that had just occurred. A clear example was when Jiraiya trapped him inside the stomach of a toad filled with poison. Urashiki rewound short bursts of time again and again, but he did not realize that doing so doubled the effect of the poison. In the end, he was fatally weakened and defeated by Jiraiya. The Golden Rinnegan was mainly awakened by Momoshiki and Urashiki. Both reached this state through the process of absorbing chakra and evolving, but the paths they took were completely different. For Momoshiki, the awakening of the Golden Rinnegan happened after he absorbed Kinshiki. At that moment, his body transformed completely, entering a divine form overflowing with energy. The two red Rinnegan in his palms turned into a bright golden color, and at the same time, a third Rinnegan appeared in the center of his forehead. The power of the Golden Rinnegan raised him to an entirely new level. His speed, physical strength, chakra, and durability all skyrocketed, enough to fight against Naruto and Sasuke at their peak. Their Rasengan, Susanoo, and combined techniques were all pushed back. If the red Rinnegan allowed absorption of ninjutsu, the Golden Rinnegan made that absorption faster, stronger, and more stable, while amplifying every ounce of energy he stole to a terrifying scale. Urashiki, on the other hand, once activated the Golden Rinnegan by consuming his own eyes to reach a higher form. Even though he could only maintain this state for a shorter time than Momoshiki, the power Urashiki displayed was still enough to threaten the entire shinobi system. It is still unclear whether the Golden Rinnegan hides any other special abilities, but there is no doubt that the yellow Rinnegan is extremely powerful. Rinne Sharingan. The Rinne Sharingan is regarded as the absolute pinnacle of all dojutsu. This eye belonged to Kaguya Otsutsuki, the first to consume the chakra fruit of the God Tree and awaken a power beyond the understanding of the world. At that moment, a giant eye appeared on her forehead. It was the Rinne Sharingan, crimson red with 9 tomoe revolving around the pupil, considered the ancestor of both the Sharingan and the Rinnegan. The wielder of this eye can perform Amano Minaka to open and travel between different dimensions, carrying multiple people at once. Unlike Sasuke's Rinnegan, which only links smaller spaces, Kaguya could create entire worlds, each with its own rules of time, gravity, and matter. She used them as both weapons and prisons, trapping enemies in realms of lava, desert, ice, or void, turning every battle with her into a struggle for survival rather than a fight. But the most terrifying power of the Rinne Sharingan is the infinite Tsukuyomi, the ultimate genjutsu that can imprison the entire world in an eternal dream. With a single gaze, Kaguya reflected the eye's light onto the moon, casting all of humanity into illusion. Even the tailed beasts were caught. Those trapped were bound by the roots of the God Tree, their chakra drained, their souls turned into energy to nourish the Ten-Tails. Inside the dream, they lived in a perfect world where every desire was fulfilled. Only those protected by the Rinnegan or Susanoo could resist this jutsu. During the Fourth Great Ninja War, Madara Uchiha was the only one who managed to recreate that scene when he awakened the Rinne Sharingan and cast the infinite Tsukuyomi on the entire world. He succeeded until Black Zetsu betrayed him and resurrected Kaguya, collapsing his plan. The Rinne Sharingan was not just a tool of power but the symbol of absolute dominion. Kaguya needed no ninjutsu, no hand signs, and no combat in the way humans understood. With only a glance, she could control space, time, and perception. For this reason, the Rinne Sharingan is not only the strongest form of the Rinnegan but the ultimate dojutsu in the entire history of Naruto. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos.